Shuddha Bhakta Chaitanya Renu Bhajana Anukula Chaitanya Renu Bhajana Bhakta Shiva Parama Shidhi Premalati Kara Mula Premalati Kara Mula. Shall we listen to the meaning before we sing? I think it's better. Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Jatapada Kamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavam Shri Rupam Shri Guru Jatam Sahagana Raganatam Vitam Tam Shajivam Shataitam Savadutam Parichana Shaitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakam Vidam Shcha Antara Guru Ajota Shri Guru Kamta Chodani and Kari Vandam Vanshakota to Vishnu Kriparashan Vibaja Purita Nampamne Babashne Vivanamo Nama Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhuta Dashmade Bhakti Vedanta Shanti Namaste Saraswati Devi Gaudamani Pracharini Nirvishesha Shnani Prashtati Deshtani Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhupada Shri Advaita Gadadha Shri Vashri Gaur Bhakta Vina Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Shuddha Bhakata Charan Renu. Shuddha Bhakata Charan Renu means the dust of the feet of a pure devotee. Shuddha Bhakata Charan Renu. Bhajana Anukul is favorable for devotional service. The dust, Charana Renu, the dust of the lotus feet of a pure devotee, getting that dust is bhajana anukul. It's favorable for devotional service. Bhakata Sheva, Paramashiti. The highest perfection is serving devotees. Bhakata Sheva, Paramashiti. Prem Lotikar Mul. It is the root of Prem, the Bhakti Lota, the Prem Lota, the creeper of love. Its root is serving devotees. Madhav Titi, that's today. Madhav Titi, Ekadashi, Madhav Titi, means the holy days of Madhav Titi, Ekadashi. Bhakti Janani, Jatane Palana Kori. Bhakti Janani means the mother of devotion. Madhav Titi. Jatane, those who palana kori, those who follow Ekadasi. That is like, following Ekadasi is like the mother of devotion. It gives birth to devotion. Following Ekadasi gives birth to devotion. Krishna Vashati Vashati Boli. Parama Adare Bori. I will invite Krishna to come with great devotion and respect. Gaudamar. Gaudamar, my gold. Gaudamar. Why Bhaktivinoda Thakur says Gaudamar? Well, actually, Krishna is the property of the devotee and will fulfill the desires of the devotee. Just like we were discussing recently, someone was talking about 16 rounds, 4 principles, go back to Godhead. Prabhupada says that if you follow the principles, chant 16 rounds minimum every day and strictly follow them, you'll go back to Godhead. How do we know that? Because because if Prabhupada says it, then Krishna becomes obliged to fulfill the words of his devotee. Konteya pratijanihi. Konteya pratijanihi. You declare it, Konteya. Nami bhakti pranashiti. Because if my devotee declares, then I definitely will fulfill. So Krishna himself doesn't declare, you declare it. Because if my devotee says it, then fulfilling the words of my devotee, that's a high priority for me. So, Gaudamar, therefore, How does one reach a position where gold becomes his? That gold becomes obligated to fulfill whatever the devotee desires. How one reaches a platform like that? Then when one makes gold everything in one's life, then Gaudamar Yai bhajanti tumam bhaktya mayite teshu cha api aham mayite cheshu chapi aham. Yai bhajanti tumam bhakta, those who worship me, yai bhajanti, those who worship me, yai bhajanti. What is that? Yai bhajanti is going on the street doing Shankirtan. That's Jai bhajanti. Yai bhajanti, that's how we worship the Lord. Of course, we're all here together, it's ecstatic, ecstasy, we get bliss when we do Shankirtan. Today we were dancing in Shuddha Bakule, we were enjoying bliss, but actually it requires some effort. It requires some effort, utsaha, prayas. You have to actually get up and go and participate. That's yai bhajanti. That's worshipping Krishna. So yai bhajanti tamam bhaktya. Ultimately, if we can make that effort and if we can render that service, yai bhajanti tamam bhaktya, with love for me. We have other motives, but still Krishna accepts. There's 4 kinds of motives Krishna describes in Bhagavad Gita. Where are our Bhakti Shastri graduate scholars? Who can tell? Who can say 4 kinds of motives? Artha jigyashi, artharati, jnani cha. Okay, so generally everyone's in that category. And very few of us, very few are in the jnani category. The jnani category, very small category. It's only Shukdev Goswami and the 4 Kumaras. Hardly you hear any other, we're not in that category, already liberated. That's already liberated and they come to Krishna. There are such, already a jnani. Jigyashu, that's also rare. The sages of Naimisharanya, they're in the category of Jigyashu. They're asking questions. First chapter of Srimad Bhagavatam, first canto, questions of the sages. Jigyashu. Artarti is generally the category where artarti, we're desiring wealth, or arta, we're distressed. And these are the general reasons that so therefore we're fortunate to serve Krishna to get relief from that distress, but that's also accepted. That's also the recommended path. We're suffering. And to get relief from suffering. And Krishna gives relief from suffering quickly. If you come to devotional service, Krishna gives a relief from suffering. The point is, at that stage you have to carry on serving Krishna. You see many people, actually many cases, I once saw a devotee who joined the movement and was very good, it was at Mataji in Australia, Melbourne. Joined the movement, living in the ashram, and serving every day, all of the paraphernalia, cleaning, and prasadam, the seva going, the preaching, this and that. Was there for about 1 year. Everyone's thinking, such a nice devotee. Took initiation, next day never saw her again. It was extraordinary. Next day after initiation, disappeared, never to be heard of again. How can we explain such things? So this is how we can explain that actually the motive was to get relief from distress. And when the distress is gone, then no longer there is incentive to serve Krishna. This is a predicament that we occasionally observe. So in any case, the practice of Bhagavad Bhakti, those motivations that we have, gradually they will erode, gradually they will evaporate. And one will actually awaken real taste for serving Krishna without ahoituki. Just like we were discussing Atmarama verse, that ahoituki kurvanti ahoituki bhakti. There's for no reason. One is developed, but there's attachment. The reason is that because we're attached. That's what we need to try to cultivate. Not for any purpose to fulfill artarati, relief from distress or getting facility, getting position. It's easy to get position in this movement. It's easy. You just attend the program, raise your hands, collect funds, collect funds. When I joined, actually, that was the mood. The big collectors, they were like Paramhamsas. Big collector, Paramhamsa. You know, that was actually how we were thinking about advancement. You know, but so the practice itself will, and then so that we should be. These things will come. Respect, facility, opulence. In our movement, there's so much opulence in our movement, bestowed upon one, opulence. So one has to, what to do? One has to practice seriously. Krishna bhajan, have to practice seriously. Sharan bhakti hoiti hoi roti udoi. Sharan bhakti hoiti hoi roti udoi. You practice, even though in the beginning there's for so many motivations, but actually if you're doing it, if you're chanting, your lips vibrating, your ears hearing, you're bowing down, your head touching the floor in front of the Lord, your tongue tasting the prasad, your ears hearing the harikotha, that's called Sharan Bhakti. You practice. That means that we don't have spontaneous, natural love for Krishna, but we behave in the way a lover would behave. That's Sadhan Bhakti. We don't have the feeling, but at least we have the practice. Like a lover would behave. We only eat the remnants of Prabhu. We only hear about Prabhu's glories and instructions. The tongue only vibrating the message of Prabhu. We practice as a lover would behave. And that practice, Sadhan Bhakti hoiti hoi, roti udoi, that will awaken attachment, roti, real feelings. So we have to cultivate, have to practice, so that gradually the real feelings are what drives us in Krishna consciousness rather than the side benefits. So we're back to Gaur Amar. We're on Gaur Amar, text number 3. Gaur Amar. What Gaur Amar? How Bhaktivinoda is saying Gaur Amar. So he's given everything. So therefore the Lord reciprocates. Ye bhajanti. And that's where we begin. Ye bhajanti tumam bhaktya. We're talking about performing devotional service with love for Krishna. Try to cultivate love for Krishna, also performing devotional service. How to do that? Well, hearing about Krishna's glories will induce appreciation and love for Krishna. We're overwhelmed. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Sri Chaitanya Doya, Koraho Bichar, Bichar Kore Chitte, Pabe Chamatkar. Sri Chaitanya Doya, Koraho Bichar, you just consider, analyze, investigate Sri Chaitanya Doya, the mercy of Chaitanya, how merciful he is. Just by seeing the chakra, you can be delivered. Haridas Thakur, today we went to Shidabakula. From that place he could see the chakra on the temple. Actually it describes when the devotees came, and just on the road here, just in front of our hotel, they were coming and assembling. And Pratap Rudra and Savabhama, they're on the palace roof and they're looking. And Gopinath Acharya, he's mentioning all of the devotees. And then they came to Haridas Thakur is mentioned. And then they came to Mahaprabhu's lotus feet, and Mahaprabhu is seeing all the devotees. And then he says, where is Haridas Kaha? Where is Haridas? Where is Haridas? And then he looks way up the road, on this road, maybe just outside our hotel. He sees Haridas Thakur lying on the road. He's been lying on the road there for a significant period of time. From the time they arrived, he hit the Dandavat on the road, and then he's staying there. And all the devotees have come. Where's Haridas? He's still lying on the road there. And he says that, Haridas Thakur says that I will not go because it's too close to Jagannath temple. And if any of Jagannath's sevaks, if they touch me, what an offense that will be. So he never came. Therefore, Mahaprabhu, give me a place nearby the garden here. And Shidabakula, Mahaprabhu would go every day and see. Ye bhajanti tamam bhaktya mayite. So yeah, by hearing, when we hear Sri Chaitanya Doya, when we hear the mercy of Chaitanya, Sri Chaitanya Doya, Koraho Bichar. And Bichar, you analyze, you investigate, you research the mercy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, how merciful he is. You research by hearing the Gaudiya Goswami Granto. You hear, and then you'll understand Sri Chaitanya Doya. Sri Chaitanya Doya Koroho Bichar. Bichar Kore, having investigated, having researched, Bichar Kore, Chitte, in the heart, Pabe Chomatkar, you will be astonished. So by hearing, you will develop real appreciation, and real love will develop. Nittam Bhagavat Sevaya Bhakti Bhavati Noishtiki. Nittam Bhagavat Sevaya, hearing the Bhagavat, Bhakti Bhavati Noishtiki. One becomes fixed in love of God. So then one can have Yai Bhajanti Tumam Bhaktya. One can worship me with love. That has to be cultivated. That's the purpose of our sadhana practice. It's not just ticking off the boxes in the sadhana sheet. Look at my sadhana sheet this week. The purpose is not to fill the boxes with ticks. The purpose is to Yaiba Janti Tamam Bhaktya, is to worship me with love. That's what we're practicing. We're practicing. And then that Krishna will appreciate. Mai te, being absorbed in Krishna in this way, te shucha apyaham. I become inclined to them. I become a friend of them. So therefore, Gaur Amar is a substantial statement. Gaur Amar, because I've given everything to Gaur, and Gaur he is only interested in me. Mad anyat te na janati. Mad anyat, besides me, te na janati. They're not interested in anything. Naham tebhyo managapi. And I am not interested in anything apart from them. So this is Gaur Amar. Gaur Amar Jai Shabashtan. Shuddha Bhakata, where you can look on your phone, Shuddha Bhakata, Bhaktivinoda Thakur. Gaudamar, Jai Shabashtan, Karala Brahmana Range. Gaudamar, my Gaud, Jai Shabashtan, all the places that Karala Brahmana Range, he performed his pleasure pastimes. Shai Shabashtan, all of those places, Haribo Ami, I will see, Pranaya Bhakata Shange, in association of loving devotees. So what we're doing, we come to the Jai Shabashtan Korala Brahmana Ranga, where Mahaprabhu performed his pastimes. The Jagannath Puri is so extraordinary because just we can walk to so many extraordinary transcendental Mahaprabhu Lila Stan, just here and there. Siddhabakula, Jagannath Mandir, Gambhira, Shavabhoma Bhattacharya House. It's just so many places, just within a short area. It's such a enriched, surcharged area of spiritual energy. So many places Mahaprabhu performed pastimes. Just behind, you go behind the ISKCON Mandir, there's a little road that goes behind ISKCON. Haridas Thakur Shamadhi, a road. You go along that road, so many extraordinary deities you don't even know. Jagadananda Pandits, Radha Krishna deities are there, a little deity on that. Brahmananda Bharati, Radha Krishna deities, just on that road. And you can just walk in on the street, and the puja is going to take some of the prasad. And so here we've come, Pranaya Bhakata Shange. When we go, Pranaya Bhakata, loving devotees, loving Pranaya Bhakata Shange, in their association, we visit the places where Mahaprabhu performed his pastimes. This is Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur's desire. And similarly, the parikrama that we're performing, Jatra, is fulfilling the desire of Bhaktivinoda Thakur in alignment with his instructions. Mridanga Bhaddo, Shunite Mon, Shunite, when I hear, I said, play that, I said, bring that clay Mridanga. Because Mridanga Bhaddo, Shunite, when I hear, Thakur Bhaktivinoda sings, when I hear that Mridanga sound, this one, this drum on the kirtan on the street, this drum, it's very good for kirtan on the street. It's very loud. It's 2 or 3 times louder than Mridanga, that drum. Yeah. And also it's easier to play because Mridanga you have to, but that is like you can put your weight on it. Because it's down, you put your whole body weight. But Mridanga, it's all in the wrists, and much harder. However, we should not neglect the words of the Acharya, Mridanga Badde, Shunite, the sound of the Mridanga. Mon Avasha. So generally in the temple we won't use that drum. in their temple. We won't use that drum. We use mridanga in the temple as much as often, the clay mridangas. You all come to Mayapur so regularly, even they break, you can get more in Mayapur. You should give some business ventures to the Dambasis. They can make mridangas. And Prabhupada wanted the foreign devotees to make mridangas. Gaura Bihita Kirtana Shuni, Gaura Bihito Kirtan, the selected kirtans of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Gaura Bihito Kirtan. That's actually Hare Krishna Mahamantra and Haraya Nama Krishna Yadavaya Namaha. This is the Gaura Bihito Kirtan. And a few other, Krishna Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Krishna, hey. These are the Gaura Bihito Kirtan. So we sing these, and then there's Acharya's songs we sing. But we should avoid the Bollywood kirtan. There's one I hear, Govinda Bolo Hari Gopala Bolo. This is from where? Who invented this? This is some cinema song. Govinda Bolo Hari Gopala Bolo. This is from where? Where is it in Gaudiya Shastra? Anyone heard? Where does it come from? You have to have a little bit of discrimination. Gaura Bihito Kirtan. That you find in the texts. Hare Krishna Mahamantra, a shlok nam boli loy, Mahamantra, Baitrishaka, a shlok nam boli loy, Mahamantra, Shalo nam Baitrishaka, a tantra. Shalo nam Baitrishaka. 16 names, 32 syllables, a tantra. This is the process. It's specifically established. These are the mantras we chant. Actually, in the kirtan, you don't even need to chant Namo Vishnu Panaya. You don't need to do that, actually. It's pretty much a standard. Some places you go, if you don't do that, you're looked at like, wow. But Prabhupada never said to do that. He said you begin the kirtan with Panchatattva Mahamantra. So Gaura Bihita Kirtan. Ananda Hridaya Nache, when we hear the mridanga. Ananda Hridaya Nache. The Ananda Hridaya Nache, dancing. The heart dances when we hear the mridanga. Jugal Murti, that's Radha Krishna deity. Jugal Murti. Jugal Murti, dekhi amor, when I see. Parama Ananda hoy. Prasad Sheva, this is a line that is attractive, it catches our attention. Prasad Sheva, Korite hoy, when you take Prasad Sheva. I don't know if it's in these languages, other states in India, there's Marathi, Hindi, but in Bengal, the rural areas I lived many years, and people would say, Sheba Harache. I don't know if it's in other places. Sheba Harache. Sheba Harache. You took prasad. They say, you ate. That means they're asking you ate. Sheba Harache. The prasad Sheba is serving the Lord. Serving the Lord. Just imagine you had a follower. Just imagine you had some follower who loved you. And they made a vow, they're only going to eat the remnants of your plate. They're not going to eat anything else except what they can scramble off from your plate. How would you feel about that person? Would you not feel concerned about them? Would you not feel obliged? They only eat my remnants. That's Prasad Sheba. That's controlling the tongue, that restricting, that Prabhu has not enjoyed, I will not take. That's Prasad Sheba. Prasad Sheba Korite hoy, Shakala Prapancha Jai. You cross over all the illusion of material energy by that vow of Prasad Seva. I know devotees that they don't even eat in restaurants, vegetarian restaurants. No. Because the cooks are not, it's doubtful whether the Lord actually accepts, but we're traveling this and that. There's different paths. Traveling preachers, be a little bit liberal. What can you do? You go a few days, you don't eat, you get to the immigration desk, they ask you where you're coming from, you're like, oh. You can't answer. Prasad Sheba Korite ho Shakala Prapancha Jai. Jadin Grihe Bhajana Deki. At home, Grihe Bhajana Deki. Seeing the worship of the Lord. Grihete Goloka Bhai is very encouraging words for the householders. He's saying that the house becomes like Goloka if you do bhajan. Jedin grihe bhajana dekhi. At home, when he sees the Lord, the worship of the Lord, grihete goloka bhai. It's just like the spiritual world. Actually, the grihastha has great opportunity. It's very, I encourage to see so many babies being born in the community, because you can produce great Vaishnav. Vaishnavi. If you have a son, you will say, become great Vaishnav. If you have daughter, we'll say, become mother of great Vaishnav. Well, is that not the same? Well, just think of Bhagavati Devi, Saraswati Thakur's mother. What an exalted soul. So you become mother of great Vaishnav. Son or daughter doesn't make much difference for us. Because your daughter can become mother of great Vaishnavi. And the whole family can be liberated. Just like we don't hear about the father of Vrindavanash Thakur. Actually, he passed away, but we hear of the mother of Vrindavanash Thakur, Narayani. And she received Prem Bhakti from Shachinandan on the spot. Prem Bhakti. Narayani Devi. Charana Shidhu Dekiya Ganga Shuka Nashingha Paya. Charana Shidhu Dekiya Ganga. Shukanashinghapai. At least we meditate on Ma Ganga, meditate on taking bath in Ma Ganga. This the 2 years lockdown, and at the place I had just a walking distance from Goswami Ghat. Goswami Ghat. It's this Advaita. It is the where Mahaprabhu and Lord Nityananda first met. Nandan Acharya Bhavan, and they have one ghat there. It's a small path you go down, and it's just from my place, a 5-minute walk. I was thinking I won't get into that, but and I was there during the monsoon season. No one was bathing, just me. Almost every day, just me. And Ma Ganga had come right up close to the road. There was no path. You just wandered through all the groves, the trees, and swimming. I couldn't believe that, how much enjoyment. She's warm at that time of year also, the sun. And so, Charana Shidhu Dekiya Ganga. The water washed the lotus feet of the Lord. Charana Shidhu Dekiya Ganga. This song is just about devotional activities, one after another. How much nectar Thakur Bhaktivinoda is getting from these simple activities of Krishna Bhakti. How much he is enjoying. Tulasi Deki, Juraya Pran, Madhava Toshani Jani. I know that Tulasi is so dear to the Lord. Tulasi Deki. Gauda Priya Shaka Shebon. Shak, spinach, shak. Shaka Shebon. Gauda Priya. It's so dear to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Jivana Shartak Mani. Perfect your life just by honoring the shak. She's dear to Chaitanya. Bhakti Vinod Krishna Bhajane. Anukula Paya Jaha. Pratidibashe Paramashuke Svikara Koraha Taha. Whatever. Anukula Paya Jaha. All of these things are easily available. Anukula Paya Jaha. Pratidibashe. Every day. Paramashidhi. In great Paramashuke, in great happiness, Paramashuke, Svikara Koraha Taha. I'm accepting these things and serving the Lord. So let's sing this song, full of philosophical and practical instruction. I think one's enough. Shuddha Bhakata Chadana Renu Bhajana Anukula Chadana Renu Bhakta Shiva Parama Siddhi Premaloti Padamula Parama Siddhi Premaloti Padamula Madhav Titi Bhakti Janani Jatane Kalana Kori Bhakti Janani Jatane Kalana Kori Krishna Bhoshati Bhoshati Boli Parama Adare Shuddha Bhakta Chodana Dina Bhajana Anukula Chodana Dina Bhajana Anukula Gaura Mada Jishabashana Parava Brahmana Brahme Jishabashana Parava Sheshabashana Hare Bhavani Pranaya Bhagavata Shami Hare Bhavani Pranaya Bhagavata Shami Jeshavashana Hare Bhavani Pranaya Bhagavata Shami Shuddha Bhakta Chodana Venu Bhajana Anukula Chodana Venu Bhajana Anukula Vedanga Pada Shunite Mani Ananda Vidaya Nachi Shunite Mani Abhasada Shadana Gaura Vihita Kirtana Shani Ananda Vidaya Nachi Kirtana Shani Ananda Gaura Vihita Kirtana Shani Ananda Hridaya Nache Kirtana Shani Jugalarti Dekiya Mora Ananda Jugalarti Dekiya Mora Paramananda Boya Prashad Sheva Hoite Hon Shakala Prasad Shiv Horite Ho Shabala Prapancha Jaya Shuddha Bhakata Chodana Prema Bhajana Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Ram, Hare Hare, Krishna Hare Madhavaya Namaha, Yadhavaya Namaha, Govinda Madhusera. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Perhaps someone can take that harmonium. We're reading from the Sri Chaitanya Bhagavat by Srila Vrindavan Thakur, second chapter of Lila. Beginning from the beginning of the second chapter, Lila. Bhakti Goshti Shohita Gauranga Jai Jai Kripa Koro Prabhu Jeno Tohe Monorai Bhakti Bhakta Goshti Shohite, along with all of his devotees. Bhakti Goshti Shohite Gauranga Jai Jai Gauranga. Oh, by the way, I'm reading the word here, Gauranga. You can say Gauranga. Now, I noticed that a lot of devotees, they don't actually pronounce that properly. They say Gauranga. I say Gauranga. In Australia they say Gauranga. It's not Ranga. It's not Ranga. It's Ango. Yeah, Ango. Gaurango. Yeah, it's Gaurango. Yeah, it's not Gauranga. Ranga. It's not Ranga. It's Gaurango. Gaurango. Nita Gaurango. Yeah. Jai Gauranga Namaloy, Tarahoy Premudoy. Jai Gauranga Namaloy, Tarahoy Premudoy. Those who take the name of Gauranga, Tarahoy Premudoy. There's awakening of Prema. So let's get the pronunciation right. Yeah? I mean, in the beginning we don't need to be so technical, but you are not beginners. Gaurango. So we were hearing how Gauranga, Vrindavan Thakur mentions that he specifically arranged the meeting at the house of Advaita Thakur in Shantipur. And Shri Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, he explains how Nityananda Prabhu, particularly Nityananda Prabhu, Nityanando, that's another one, Nityanando. Goradhar. Anyway, I'm getting off the track here. The names of the Panchatattva. So he spent the significant time, about 10-12 days, in the house of Advaita Acharya in Shantipur. And if you desire, we were discussing in our last evening about desire, called it desire, like a garden. The heart is like a garden, and you plant the creepers of desire, bhakti lota. If you desire to visit Shantipur, then we could discuss in detail the Sankirtan pastimes in Shantipur. In Shantipur. You can desire such things, and they will be fulfilled. Have your desires been fulfilled here coming to Purushottam Kshetra Jagannath Puri Dham? Have your desires been fulfilled? Still there is more to be fulfilled? Yes. There should be the more apurnito, never completely fulfilled. Prabhu bole, ami chalilan nila chale, kichu duka na babaho, tomar shokale, kichu duka na babaho. Don't be upset. I'm going to, listen to what Mahaprabhu says here, I'm going to Nilachal. Don't be upset. He says that after offering my obeisances to Lord Jagannath, I will return. Now, isn't that interesting? That obviously he is, as Krishna explains, Bedaham Samati in Gita, Bedaham Samati, Vartamanani Charjana Bhavishyani Chabutani. Bhavishyani Chabutani. What will happen in the future? I know. Vartamani, he knows everything, past, present, and future. So Mahaprabhu knows very well that he will go to Jagannath Puri, stay a few weeks, deliver Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, and then go on a 2-year extraordinary tour of South India, freely distributing love of Godhead, and then come back to Puri, stay there 2 years more. So he knows that it will be more than 4 years before he won't come to Mayapur again anyway. He will go Bidanagar. We were hearing the last few weeks. He returned to Bidanagar. Now things are beginning to fall in place. Bidanagar is beginning, Prabhu was going on and on and on, crossing the river. What's he talking about? Now you can understand. Mahaprabhu took sannyas, came to Puri. 2 years South Indian tour. And then 2 years he was not able to leave. The Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, Ramananda Roy, they're preventing him from leaving Jagannath Puri. And then Mahaprabhu said, Gauda deshe hoy mor dui shamasrai janani janavi. Ei dui doyamoy. I want to go to Vrindavan via Gauda Desh. Gauda deshe hoy mor dui shamasrai. I have 2 shelters. Janani janavi. My mother and Ma Ganga. So he goes, but he knows all this, but he says, I will return in a few days. So isn't that interesting? So what we can extrapolate from this, well, you can, if in the service of removing the misery of devotees, if you whatever is required to say, you can say. For that purpose only. Immediate relief, just like Devaki and Vasudeva on the chariot, I'll bring immediate, you have to, the immediate circumstances have to be dealt with. So I will return in a few days. And they could sustain their lives. Shobe giye shuke grihe koroho kirtan. He gives instructions. Go return home and perform kirtan. Janme janme tumi shob amar jibon. Amar jibon, you are my very life. The devotees in Mayapur. You are my very life. Bhaktagan bole, Prabhu jai tomar ichha. Koro shakti taha. Koriba parimicha. Who can prevent you from fulfilling your desires? Your desires. Who can stop you? And they said, but at the present time, there's political unrest between Bengal and Orissa. At that time, political unrest. We heard that a little later, when Mahaprabhu went to Ramkelli, that the Nawab, the Sultan of Bengal, he was planning on invading Orissa. He was planning on invading Orissa. That's described in Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita. The Sultan of Bengal, Nawab Hussain Shah, is planning on invading Orissa, and he wanted Sanatan Goswami to manage the government. So you can understand the type of political circumstances, and so the devotees were worried about that. And Mahaprabhu said, well, obstacles may be there, but that won't prevent me from going. Advaita Acharya says that Jota Bigna Ache Sharva Kinkar Tamar, Jota Bigna Ache Sharva Kinkar Tamar, all of the Bigna, the obstacles, Sharva Kinkar Tamar, they're simply your servants. Tomare Korite Bigna Shakti Achekar. Who is there who can make an impediment for you? Sheikhane Mahaprabhu Matta Singha Goti Chalilen Shubakori Nilachal Proti. Matta Singha Goti, he begins moving like a mad lion. Matta Singha Goti Chalilen Shubakori Nilachal Proti, in the direction of Jagannath Puri. Mahaprabhu left. The devotees ran after him. And Mahaprabhu again said, return home, I will return in a few days. Eta boli Mahaprabhu Sharva Vaishnavir protect dhori olingan kore. Protect kori dhori. Protect dhori means he embraced each. Protect means each and every devotee. He embraced olingan dhore. Dhori olingan kore. He embraced them. And soaked them with tears of love. I remember, what can I say, coming and preaching in Bangladesh changed my life so much. I was preaching in Australia for more than 10 years. And I knew nothing about Bengal, and then I went Bengal. And I was sent on the traveling Sankirtan party. It was quite an experience. Nothing, only Krishna Kirtan Prabhu, who left his body last year. Krishna Kirtan, Krishna, Nitya Lila Pravishta, Krishna Kirtan Das Brahmachari. And he was the only one I could communicate with, because he was the only one who could speak English. And then I didn't know Bengali. I was gradually learning Bengali. And so we went for program, and then he came to me and he said, Prabhu, he said, we're leaving at 10, be ready at 10, be at the bus at 10. So there am I at the bus at 10 o'clock with my bags, no one. After a while, it took a while for me to understand the special code language. In Bengal exists, perhaps in other places in India also it exists, a special code language. When they say be at the bus at 10, that means 11:30, 12. Just now coming, that means 20 minutes, 25. 5 minutes, Prabhu, 5 minutes. Or then 2 minutes. Maybe that it's a special code. 2 minutes means 10, 15 minutes. So I was there at the bus, and I'm sitting on the bus, and Krishna Kirtan Prabhu, he comes and says, Prabhu, what are you doing? I said, I'm ready to go. And he said, no. He said, we cannot depart like this. I'm thinking, what? And he said, and then I see all the people that we were staying with in the village. We were only there for 2 days. And then all the people lined up. They're all lined up on the road side. All the people lined up. And he said, we have to make our departure. We have to depart in the appropriate way. And I'm going to think, okay, I'll hang my head out the bus and see you later. He said, no. And then literally I had to stand up, every one of them coming embracing. and paying obeisances. And then I understood that it's not... the Western people, they're impatient. Western people. You see in Mayapur, they cannot stand in line. Well, I'm amazed when I see these lines, how long those lines are, and people stand in those. For me, it just amazes me. Their desire to get a little Charnamrita or something else. And new people come, the people they're just visiting, they see the line, they join the line, they don't even know what it is at the end. It must be something special. So anyway, Bangladesh changed me so much. Then I understood my Bangladesh experience. It's not over. We're still, we're desiring again to visit Bangladesh preaching. And then I understood that the devotional relationships, and they are the most important. Devotional relationships. I got sick one time with typhoid, and I was in one remote place in Bangladesh, in Narshindi. And I'd been there a few times. I had a relationship, I knew the devotees, but then I got sick, and then the way the devotees cared for me, I'll never forget. I couldn't sleep at night. I'm there lying there, and they were there with ice packs on my head, and all I could eat was one little bowl of soup. That was it. It is typhoid. If you've had typhoid, it's quite a devastating disease. And but how I saw those devotees just care for me, it melted my heart. They just cared for me like a family member. Just treated me like a family member with such affection. And I never had experience like that in the West. The Western people are not like that. They're all lone cannon on the deck, to use an analogy. They're all independent, lone. They don't like to be obligation and dependent on others. They consider that a weakness. Everyone's individual. You just sit at home and you can do everything on your phone. You don't need to interact with people. So here Mahaprabhu we're reflecting on Mahaprabhu. He's embracing each and every devotee. There's no neglect. The relationship with each and every devotee is so important. Emoto Nanarupe Shada Prabodhiya. Cholidin Prabhu Dokin Abhimukhoya Dokin, south. So Emota Nanarupe Shava Prabodhiya. Prabodhiya means reassuring everyone. Is that, you have a word like that in Hindi? Prabodhiya. Prabodhiya. To like, it's counseling. It means counseling. Counseling. And taking the time to, before departing. Consoling. Translated word here is consoling. Prabodhiya. Prabodhiya. So along with Nityananda Prabhu Mukunda Datta, Jagadananda, we were hearing about Jagadananda and Nityananda at Donda Banga Nodi and Damada Pandit. They began their journey. It's somewhere there, we'll hear the Chaturabhog and Sanatana Saraswati Thakur explains where these places are. Mahaprabhu, he suddenly inquires from the party. He says that, have you brought the necessary requirements for our journey? He says, have you brought the necessary requirements for our journey? And then the four devotees are looking at each other. What? What? So, you never. We didn't hear any order. We were not without your order. They were feeling embarrassed. Oh, we were expected to arrange everything. It means the prasada. We were expected to arrange everything, and then they're embarrassed. But without your permission, we didn't bring anything. Actually, Mahaprabhu was testing them to see, are they dragging along bags and bags of eatables? I was once, many years ago, traveling with one devotee. He's still a devotee in Australia. He owns a restaurant now, Prasadam restaurant. And we were traveling in Iceland, remote place. I remember we bought an avocado. It's like a mango, but you don't know what is avocado. But it's a very rare, special fruit, avocado. It cost us $10. Like, you imagine spending $10, 700 rupees for one mango? That's what it cost in Iceland to get fresh fruits and things. And then we were traveling in this devotee. He was a cook. So I think I may have mentioned to you one time, Komra Prabhu said to me, you'll never be a good cook because you don't eat enough. But this devotee, he was a good cook. But we had a whole bag. We had a bag, one bag for clothes, one bag for the parrot, and one bag just for eatables. We would drag it. Dragging his bag with eatables around, little, acha, pickles and all. So Mahaprabhu was happy that no one had brought anything. He was happy. He was testing them. No one had brought anything. Yes. And he says, Prabhu bole, kahao je kichu na lai, ihate amar boro santosh to korila. I'm very happy that no one has brought anything. You've satisfied me that no one has brought anything. Because he goes on to explain that that enjoyment, which is our destiny, it will come anyway. Even without our endeavoring, it will come. He says that it will find you. That happiness which is your allotment, it will find you. Even so, therefore, the point is you don't have to work for it. You don't have to endeavor for it. Because it will come looking for you. What to speak as a devotee. Sometimes I visit it's been a while, I'm speaking my brothers and sisters. I'm the youngest, 6 brothers and sisters. I'm the youngest. My eldest sister came to Mayapur once and spent 2 days and 1 night in Mayapur. Just by seeing Mayapur, you won't take birth again. She was a businesswoman in international market, and so she'd come to India on occasion. So we met in Kolkata, and I brought her to Mayapur. But when I'm there, and they scratch their heads and they say, we're struggling, for that enjoyment in life, and you're not even working for it, and you get so much more than we. And as I'm there, and I'm saying, I've come to renew my passport for the 5th time. That's the frequent traveler passport, 64 pages, not the usual one, 10 pages. There's 64 pages. Renewed it so many times, traveling all over, not working. They say, you're not working. International traveling, all this, blah, 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 you're not working. But even you surrender to Krishna, compared to your allotment, not that we've surrendered to Krishna, but philosophically we're speaking, your allotment, you get more. You get more. Out of mercy, Krishna bestows more happiness, in material happiness, on the devotee who loses their interest to capture that happiness. Krishna gives. Krishna gives. Even you're not interested, Krishna gives material happiness, opulence. Why he gives? Because it doesn't affect the devotee. He said to Kurma Brahman that whoever you see, you preach Krishna consciousness, you dedicate your energy to preaching Krishna consciousness. Then Bishoy Taranga, the enjoyment in life will not bewilder you. You will have me in your association. I will be in your association. You will not be bewildered by these things. So therefore Krishna bestows so much opulence on a devotee because he uses it. The devotee uses those things to further the mission of the Lord, to serve the Lord, and Krishna bestows so much opulence. There's one story I heard of Prabhupada sitting in Juhu, in his rooms, and some members had come, and some devotees, the leaders were there, the accounts were there. There was piles of rupees on the desk, and Prabhupada and the people have come. Usually, we have our money. Anyone comes immediately, hide it under the bed. I'll put it in the drawer. The money. Even you book distributors, when you're asking for the donation, they'll open their wallet and it's like, they don't want you to see what's in there. Is it not? They don't want you to see what's in there. And Prabhupada's preaching to these people, and he's taking the bundles of the rupees and banging them on the desk to make the point. Bang, bang. Because it's all Krishna's. It's Krishna's money. It's all Krishna's. Tribhuvanai Krishna diyachen onna chatra Ishwarer ichcha thake milibo sarvatra. Yeah, the whole Tribhuvanai, everything is Krishna's storehouse. Tribhuvanai, Krishna's storehouse. Ishwarer ichcha thake milibo sarvatra. Then you will get all of the things that you require by Krishna's mercy. Mahaprabhu is making this point. We won't go into the details of the application of that, because there also is the element of the Varnashram Dharma, and here Mahaprabhu is discussing the principle in relation to renunciates. The renunciates. The renunciates shouldn't be worried about what they're going to eat today or tomorrow. Actually, brahmachari life is like that. You don't have to worry, you just have to be there at 2 o'clock. That's all you need to, just be there at 2 o'clock. That's all, and then you can find a place to sleep here and there. But and the grihastas do not need to imitate that. I'll just be here at 2 o'clock. The grihastas have to take more responsibility and feed the family. And that's the license for sense enjoyment. The license. You're allowed to gather and collect and keep things with the mood of otiti seva. At home, there should always be foodstuffs in order to host any Vaishnav who may come unannounced. And in that consciousness you can store food. So now they come to a very saintly person named Ananta Pandit. And Mahaprabhu decided to stay at his residence. And then Mahaprabhu took prasadam. Sarvadon Shaha Prabhu Korilen Bikha Shannashir Bhikkha Dharma Korean Shikha. He sat down with all of his associates and accepted the food, and in this way Mahaprabhu, Shannyashi, as we were mentioning, that this is particularly this mood of not worrying about taking any food is the sannyasa dharma. Sannyashir Bhikkha Dharma Korayan Shikha. Shannashir Bhikkha Dharma Korayan Shikha. In this way he's teaching the standard behavior for those in the renounced order of life. Shubha Drishti, Ananta Pandit, Prati Dhori, Prati Kori, Prabhate, Cholira Prabhu Boli Hari Hari. Shubha Drishti, Ananda Pandit, Prati Kori. He glanced his Shubha Drishti. Imagine receiving the Shubha Drishti, the merciful glance of the Lord. After taking the prasadam in the house of Ananda Pandit Mahaprabhu, mercifully glanced, Shubha Drishti. Ananta Pandit Prati Kori. He glanced at him with mercy. Imagine Mahaprabhu glancing at you. Then he carried on his journey, chanting the holy name. Pravate Cholira Prabhu Bolo Hari Hari. Chanting the holy name, carrying on. Deki Sharva Tapahar Shri Chandra Bodon. Shri Chandra Bodon. Deki Sharva Tapahar Shri Chandra Bodon. That Sri Chandra Bodon, that face of the Lord, beautiful face of the Lord, which is like the rising moon. Sri Chandra Bodon. Deki Sharva Tapaha. Seeing that face of the Lord, seeing the Lord's moon-like face, it destroys Tapaha. It removes all misery. Hari Boli Sharvalok Dake Anukon. Deki Sharva Tapaha Shri Chandra Bodon. Hari Boli Sharvalok Dake Anukon. Seeing the Lord's beautiful moon-like face, which removes all miseries. The people, all of the people were spontaneously chanting the name of Hari Hari. Jogindra Ridoye Oti Durlabh Charan. Oti Durlabh Charan. Very difficult to obtain lotus feet. Oti Durlabh Charan. Jogindra Ridoye. Even the yogis who are practicing tapasya and meditation for many, many years, that Durlabh Charan, Oti Durlabh Charan, very difficult to obtain lotus feet. Henu Prabhu Chali Jai Deki Sharva Jan. Henu Prabhu Jai Deki Sharva. He's showing those lotus feet to anyone who's randomly he finds on the path. It is for us to understand something about when the Lord appears on this planet. That the special circumstance where the people, the common people, they can see the Lord. They can see the lotus feet of the Lord. Just if you happen to be there at that time on the planet. Henu Prabhu Choli Jai Dekhe Sharvajan. He's showing, he's revealing that which is not seen by decades and decades of tapasya and penance of the yogis, is not seen. He's simply showing that mercifully, randomly to everybody on the path. Walking on the path to the vision of, for the vision of all. And then there's a place described, these various places are described by Vrindavanash Thakur. He comes to a place called Chhatrabhog. It's somewhere there. Now the borders are now not what they were like 500 years ago, but we're talking somewhere now. We haven't actually entered Oriya, Utkal yet. Mahaprabhu's still there, Bengal still there, around that area somewhere. And this Ambulinga Shiva, this Chhatrabhog where the Ganga flows in 100 streams, Mahaprabhu is taking bath there. Sharashu Thakur explains that the Ganga is no longer flowing in 100 streams there, but you can see there are different ravines in the land, indicating that previously the Ganga flowed in so many different streams there. And there is the Ambulinga Shiva, which is a murti of Lord Shiva, which is water. And Lord Shiva, when Ma Ganga came at the request of Bhagidati and flowed along the planet and entered eventually at Gangosagar, the Bay of Bengal, then Lord Shiva also came to associate with Ganga Devi. And therefore there is Ambulinga Shiva, who assumed the form of water to associate with Ganga, Ma Ganga. And the deity is there. And Vrindavan Thakur is describing the deity. Jal Rupe, Shib, Rohilen, Sheshtane, Jal Rupe, in the form of water, Shib, Rohilen, Sheshtane. At that place he's in the form of water. Ambulinga Ghat, Gori Gosharva Jane, and everyone knows that place as Ambulinga Ghat. And Siddhanta Shastri Thakur describes that there's the Shiva, it's called the Gaudi Pata. That's the base upon which the Shiva Linga stands. It's called Gaudi Pata. So that is there, and in the middle there is a hole, and that is filled with water, and that is Ambulinga Shiva. In May 1930, Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur with a group of devotees, he visited that place and he established the footprints of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu there. And you can read the Gaudiya magazine, 8th year 1940, number 42, to read all of that description. Actually, Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur's objective was to establish 108 what are they called? Installing the footprints of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu wherever he went on the tour of South India. That was the objective of Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur. And in 1930 he began that. Ultimately he installed the footprints of Mahaprabhu in 8 different places in South India. And subsequently his followers, in ISKCON we are subsequently installing further. In Sri Rangam, where I think that it's gone now. I know that in the Trivandrum, His Holiness Jayapataka Swami Maharaj installed the footprints of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in the Padmanabha Swami temple in Trivandrum, where Mahaprabhu visited. Mahaprabhu took bath there at this place. Onek Kotuke Prabhu Korilen Shnan, with great joy and Kotuke and exhilarating pastimes. Onek Kotuke Prabhu Korilen Shnan, Bed Bias Tahasho Likibe Purane, Puran. Shnane, I'll read that again. Onek Kotuke Prabhu Korilen Shnane, Bed Bias Tahasho Liki Be Purane. So, getting back to our point of encouraging the Grihastas to have children. Here, Bed Bias, Vrindavan Thakur, who is Bed Bias, Krishna Lila, Bhagavate, Kohe Bed Bias, Chaitanya Lila Vyas Vrindavan Das. The Vyas Muni of Krishna who wrote Bhagavatam, he appears in Chaitanya Lila as Vrindavan Thakur. And he says here that Bed Vyas Taha Shob Liki Be Purane, that the pastimes Mahaprabhu performed at this place of bathing in the river of Maganga, where the 100 streams are, and seeing the Ambulinga deity, these pastimes will be described in detail. Bed Bias Tahashob Liki Be Purane will be written and described by Bed Bias in the Puranas. So, isn't that interesting? That means he's saying Bed Bias will appear again to further describe this journey of Mahaprabhu from Katwa to Jagannath Puri, where we don't hear so much. Who's heard these topics before? Raise hands. No one. Now in generations to come, we'll find people doing PhD studies on these texts of Mahaprabhu's journey to Puri. PhD studies. It will be, and Ved Vyas will appear and he will write in more detail the Nitya Lila of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He's saying here, Ved Vyas will describe. So you pray and the Grihastas, you produce children, and perhaps Ved Vyas will appear in your family. To further describe it. You can, yes. Jagyapati, you put your hand up. You are ready. He put his hand up. He put his hand up. You see that? He put his hand up. Yes, yes, you can. You can be first in the line. Be father of Bed Vyas. So Bed Vyas can appear in your family. You can send him to Gurukul in Mayapur. Mahaprabhu came then to a place where the person who was the devotee, the person who was the he was the, let's read about it anyway. Sheikh Grame, Adhikari, Ramchandra Khan, Jajapi Bishai Tobu Mahabhagavan. So the Adhikari of that area, Mahaprabhu came, and the Adhikari means the kind of the person in charge of the whole place, the leader, the king, you could say, so to speak. Adhikari. Sheikh Grame Adhikari Ramchandra Khan, Jajapi Bishai, even though he was materialistic person, Jajapi Bishai Tobu Mahabhagavan. Mahabhagavan, because Mahaprabhu is coming to stay at his house. And Mahaprabhu, he sees Mahaprabhu. Dandavad hoya, podira, pada tole. Mahaprabhu came and he was sitting on the swing. Opulent householder, he's sitting on the swing. He sees Mahaprabhu. Dandavad hoya, podile, pada tole. He falls down off that swing. Pada tole, at the lotus feet, at the base of the lotus feet of Mahaprabhu, he offers his obeisances. And Prabhu, Nahika Vaija Premananda Jale. Nahika Vaija. Prabhu at that time, he was completely unaware of any external surroundings. So much absorbed in love of Godhead. Ha ha Jagannath Prabhu Bole Gone Gon. Ha 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 Jagannath Prabhu Bole Gone Gon. With a faltering voice. He's still in Bengal. Ha ha, and with a faltering voice. Ha ha Jagannath. He comes to this landlord of the area. He falls off his chair. The landlord falls down, pays obeisances to Mahaprabhu. Mahaprabhu says, ha ha Jagannath. Pritibite pore gan koraya krondan, falling on the ground, crying. Ha ha Jagannath, falling on the ground, crying. And this Ramchandra Khan, seeing this, well, he also broke down into tears. I mean, just seeing such a thing is overwhelmed him in love of Godhead. Sometimes we see devotees, perhaps at Vyasa Puja, and they're sharing their heartfelt sentiment of their shelter that they have at the lotus feet of Sri Guru. And sometimes the devotees are crying. We're listening also, we feel that emotion, we feel tears. Even a even a person with a stone heart, their heart would melt seeing Mahaprabhu in this way. Ha ha Jagannath, falling down on the ground, crying, getting up again, falling down on the ground. The Lord asks, Ke tumi, who are you? Prabhu, dash anodash muito, I am the servant of your servant, Ramchandra Khan replies. And then all the people gathered there, they said that actually he's the landholder, he is the coordinator, the man, the lord of this area. Prabhu bole, tumi, adhikari, bharo bhalo, it's very good that you are the landlord in this area. Nila chale ami jai, kimate shakal. How can you please, how can I go to Jagannath Puri? He's asking. How can I go to jail? In other words, you're the landlord. Oh, it's very good that you're the lord of this area. How can I go to Jagannath Puri quickly? How kimate shakal, nila chalami jai kimate shakal. How I can go to Jagannath Puri quickly? This is like an example of when you we have to take advantage of the opportunities. In leaving Jagannath Puri also, Mahaprabhu, they're meeting with various leaders. He met with one Mughal leader and delivered him and his ministers as he was leaving Puri to go to Bengal after a few years. And here also coming to Puri, meeting these leaders. And once again, this comes back to Mahaprabhu taking sannyas, attracting the attention of the people in general. The leader of the whole area comes, and Mahaprabhu engages him in a very appropriate way. Prabhupada said, if you go and see a crorepati, you don't ask him for a 10 rupee donation. And maybe you may be a little hesitant, but you have to understand that you have to become Krishna's instrument and engage people according to their capacity. So he says, when the Lord says, Nilachal Ami Jai Ke Mate Shakal, how can I quickly go to Jagannath Puri? Just saying the word Nilachal, again Mahaprabhu becomes overwhelmed. Saying the word Nilachal. Bahaye Ananda Dhara Kohite Nila Chandra Bali Porile Bhumite Nila Chandra Bali Porite Bhumite, again saying the word Nilachal. Porila Bhumite, Mahaprabhu falls down on the ground. Saying the word Nilachal, he falls down on the ground. Shuni Mahashai, Ramchandra Khan responds, Shuni Mahashai, Shuno Mahashai. Ramchandra Khan bole, Shuno Mahashai, Jai Aggatoma, Shai Kartabba Nishchoy. Jai Aggatoma, whatever you order, Shai Kartabya Nishchoy, certainly that becomes my duty. I'm explaining the Bangla. You can understand. It shouldn't be difficult for you. I mean, even I can understand. You should be able to. That's why because Monodiye Shunobai Sri Chaitanya Kotar. Monodiye Shunobai. Listen attentively. Sri Chaitanya Kotar. Bhakta Shange Jai Jai Lila Koilo Jotha Jotha. He says that the way that the Lord performed his pastimes with the devotees, one after another, hear them attentively, because the way I'm describing them, jota jota, that's how they happened. So therefore, by hearing the description of Vrindavanash Thakur, he's seeing these things. Nityananda Prabhu is revealing to him in the heart. How he knew that Ram said this, and how he knows these things? Because he's seeing it in the heart. Nityananda Prabhu is revealing. So these words that are emanating from the lips of Srila Vrindavanash Thakur, these words, they're special. They're not just mundane. They're specially inspired. And by hearing them, we can also see. So he says that, Ramchandra Khan says that there's so much problems now on the border with Orissa and Bengal. So much problems. He said that the soldiers, they've put spears underground, like now the minefield, the minefield, boom, blow your legs off, the mine. So in those days that they didn't have mine, there was camouflaged spears, all here and there on the road. That's right. So if you don't know the way, you'll fall into the pit of spears. And in addition to that, there's all Gunda dacoits hiding in the bushes. And also there's the government people, and anyone from Bengal, they think they're a spy. They consider you a spy. So it's very dangerous to travel in this path. But I will, even though I place myself in great danger, I will help you to get to Orissa. Shuniya hoilo shuki Vaikuntanath. Shuniya hoilo shuki Vaikuntanath. Hearing these words of Ramchandra Khan, then Mahaprabhu Vaikuntanath, the Lord of Vaikuntha, Mahaprabhu, he became happy. Hashi tar koilen Shubhadrishtipat, and he smiled, Shubhadrishti, he glanced upon Ramchandra Khan with his merciful glance. Drishti matro tar sharva bondak shai kori. Just seeing the glance of Mahaprabhu, tar sharva bondak kai kori, it destroyed all of his entanglement. in material life. Just the merciful glance of Mahaprabhu upon him, it destroyed all of his entanglement in the material world. And then Mahaprabhu went to his house to take prasadam. Would you like to hear Vrindavana Thakur's description of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu accepting prasadam in the house of Ramchandra Khan? Would you like to? What's the time? 10 to 9? 8:50. Okay, a little bit more we'll read. So he sat down with the devotees. But Vrindavana Thakur is describing that since beginning the journey, Mahaprabhu's eating habits had changed. And yesterday, or this morning, we were hearing how Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was accustomed to eating what would 5 persons would eat, because he's huge in body, and he was feeding the 5 times. But when he was on this journey, he was eating very little. We had our sannyasi in our movement. He's since Nitto Lila Pravishta. He's since left. His name was I forget his name. Might come. No, you'll never guess. You won't know him. Maybe I can't remember. Anyway, he was telling me that. Or another example, Kavi Chandra Swami. He doesn't eat for days on end. He doesn't eat for days when he's traveling. Kavi Chandra Swami. He told me he went to the doctor. The doctor said, your digestion you'd have no digestion. You have no fire of digestion. A few days he won't eat anything, and then he'll just eat some papaya. But our Ayendra Prabhu, he was a strong man, but he would the Kartik Mash, he would fast. The Bhishma Panchak, he would not eat anything, just the little bit of the dahi and the doot and everything. Name Sheikh Thakur Matro Korean Bhojan. Simply Mahaprabhu was eating in name only. He wasn't actually eating to fulfill the hunger, just because we eat. So he was sitting. Name Sheikh Thakur Matro Korean Bhojan Nijabesh Abakash Nahi Ekhon, because Nijabesh means himself, means that he is that Jagannath. But so much absorbed in the love of God that he wasn't removed from that from a moment. He wasn't even thinking about eating. He ate only out of formality. Why did he eat? Mahaprabhu, why did he eat at all? Bika kore Prabhu Priya Barga Shantosh Arte. Priya Barga Shantosh Arte. Priya Barga means his dear associates, Shantosh Arte, for the purpose of satisfying his dear associates, Bika kore Prabhu. Only for the purpose of pleasing his devotees would he eat. Nirabare Prabhu Bhojan Paramato, and his eating was completely a spiritual experience. Jai Abesh Mahaprabhu Koren Prakash Taha Ke Kohite Pare Bine Bed Byash. Jai Abesh, these ecstatic moods, Jai Abesh Mahaprabhu Koren Prakash, that Mahaprabhu would reveal, these moods that Mahaprabhu would reveal. Taha Ke Kohite Pare, who is able to describe them? Taha Ke Kohite Pare Bine Bedbyas. Who, apart from Bedbyas, is able to describe these manifestations of the moods of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu? Who, apart from Bedbyas, is able to describe? Now that is very interesting, because Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, he says that Vrindavana Thakur is Vyasadeva incarnated. And here, Vrindavana Thakur is saying that these descriptions of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu manifesting his moods are only possible to be described by Vyasadeva. So that means he's describing, he's Vyasadeva. Kichu matra anu Prabhu, parigraha kori, sitting down, kichu matro. Kichu matro means alpa to little bit. Kichu matro onna. Kichu matro onna Prabhu, parigraha kori. He accepted a little rice. Kichu matro anna Prabhu, parigraha kori. Utilen, hunkar, koriya gauda hari. And then got up. A little rice he accepted. You imagine? You're sitting down at Prashadam, Prashada Govinda, and it'll start, first item, and then Mahaprabhu is sitting, the little rice, and boom, he gets up. Hunkar, with a thunderous roar. Abhishta hoilo Prabhu, Kori, Achaman. So I got up and washed his hands, Achaman washed his hands. Koto dur Jagannath, bole gonagon. Koto dur Jagannath. A little bit he eats, gets up and isn't. Koto dur Jagannath. How far to Jagannath Puri? So shall we conclude there? It's getting late. Prashadam. We can finish on the point of Prashadam. Akarishidin. And I think tomorrow, Bhubaneswar. Yes? And then in the evening again, we can carry on some more, what happens. Is there any question? Yeah.
Is this Ramchandra Khan is the same who goes and prostitute for?
No. Different time. That interesting. We were hearing this morning. Sitaram Prabhu was describing about Mahaprabhu in Benapole, and Ramchandra, and envious, and he engaged the prostitute to go to try to call ill repute to Haridas Thakur. That happened before. It appears that happened even before Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appeared, because that was before that incident in Benapole was on the way. Haridas Thakur appeared in a place called Burdan in Bangladesh near Joshua, and then as he was migrating to Pulia, on the way he resided in Benapole, and there he was chanting 3 lakhs a day, as described by Kaviraj Goswami, on the way, before he met Advaita Thakur. And then he met Advaita Thakur, and then they were already together when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appeared, because it mentions that when Mahaprabhu appeared, Advaita Thakur and Haridas Thakur were dancing in ecstasy. So at the time of the appearance of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Haridas Thakur was already associating with Advaita Gosai, which means that the Benapole incident happened even before Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appeared. So that was a long time before. And therefore, on the topic of Haridas Thakur, today we were at Shida Bakul on the topic of Haridas Thakur. Already he was an empowered, charismatic preacher. Even before he came to Navadip and joined Mahaprabhu's Sankirtan Lila, already he was empowered, that thousands of people would gather around him, and thus the Ramchandra was envious, because already the people were so much becoming followers of Haridas Thakur. And therefore he was already empowered preacher. And therefore it's not a random thing when Mahaprabhu one day says, Shuno Shuno Nityananda Shuno Haridash Shabatra Amaragga Koroho Prakash. You preach my instructions in every place, you reveal my instructions in every place. He mentions particularly Nityananda Prabhu and Haridas Thakur. Of course, Nityananda Prabhu, he is Swayam Prakash, he is God, he's come. Harinama Pradam Devam, the principal distributor of the holy name, Nityananda Prabhu. And then so many other associates were there, empowered preachers. But Mahaprabhu says particularly to Haridas Thakur. So today, having visited Shida Bakula, we're remembering the glories of Srila Haridas Thakur. So, yes, Mahapati.
You mentioned about having opulence and not being attached to it. So how to achieve this?
The devotees will help you. The devotees will help you. They'll be encouraging you how you can engage this, how you can engage that. You keep the association of devotees. And that way you won't get carried away by these opulences. Okay? Yeah?
You mentioned that Lord is maintaining all these 3 worlds, all the living entities, where he tested the associates who coming to the Jagannath Puri, but asking that whether they are carrying something, and they pass the test. But in day-to-day life, the devotees have this tendency that until unless we don't work, we don't get anything. In general public, how they will get the faith that Lord is the maintainer and whatever is destined, even though you are in the forest, it will come to you.
Well, when you become sannyasi, then you won't have to endeavor anymore. But brahmachari, yes, sometimes you have to, you have to get there in time, and other you won't get a place. Brahmachari, but it is so minimal. That's the glory of brahmachari life, that your material duties are minimized to the ultimate. You don't have to worry, your clothing that you will get, your accommodation, you will get the food, a little bit, you just have to know what time is prasadam. That's it. And you can take rest. It's not that you have to work, like an ass every day. We're not like that. We're not like that. Devotees, a few hours seva every day, a few hours seva. I mean, our morning program, that's exhausting. Attending that. Attending that. On Sankirtan, we didn't go for a big morning program when we did marathon Sankirtan. I'm assuming we would be out 8 o'clock in the morning for Sankirtan, breakfast 8 o'clock and go all day on Sankirtan. But in the general days, the morning program, attending that, that is jagya. That's enough. If you attend the morning program, that's eligibility for taking prasad. If you can attend the whole program, no one will refuse you taking prasad. And then what service you can do according to your capacity, your service you can do. Prabhupada said that you should work according to how much you eat. If you eat a lot, you should work hard. So don't worry about it that much. It's in a brahmachari life. It's very little concern for material maintenance. Very little. That's the wealth of brahmachari life, that you can just minimize to the ultimate minimum. Just a few things I need: a toothbrush, protect your tongue scraper from being taken by someone else. That's about all you have to worry about. But just take advantage of how simple your life is. It's 10, 20 times more complex for a householder with the family members. So it's a much more of a juggling act. So take full advantage of it. The little bit of concern that you have to give for maintaining the body as a brahmachari. And as I mentioned, as you grow older in spiritual life and mature, you become sannyasi, you can completely forget these things. And you can be entirely supported and maintained and cared for by the Vaishnava community. There was another question, I believe. Yeah.
So, Navanas Thakur also have written some more books other than Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Nityanand Charitamrita, we just...
I can't give you a detailed list, but yes, there are other works, and there's also songs, like for example the Adivas song. If you hear the Adivas song, that's a very sweet song, sung before special events. If you hear, that's written by Vrindavan Thakur, Adivas song. It's only that's special. It's not sung everywhere. Mayapur, not so many people know. Expert Kamal, Gopal, Naragopal Babu, a few they can do the Adivas song.
We had it Bhiwani in Hyderabad.
Our Mukti Datta Babu sang? Yeah. So the Adivas song is written by Vrindavan Thakur. So many questions. When we give the online class, never any questions. So many questions. I wonder what's going on. People never any questions. It's silence. I don't know why. Same topics. I don't know why. Yeah, question.
Prabhuji, when we say Vrindavan Thakur is Vyasadeva and Haridas Thakur is Brahma, so like they incarnated, or when they are performing these pastimes, like who are there in that position?
Haridas Thakur is Brahma, and Vrindavan Thakur is Vyas Muni. So when they're performing these pastimes, then who's there? Who's in the Brahmas? The Nimesha Dako Ba Brajahi Natrapi Shamayaha. That in the spiritual realm, time doesn't restrict us the way it does in the material realm. So time doesn't restrict us. In the material world, it's only, now they're all thinking, how long is Prabhu going to carry on speaking for? Because unless Prabhu stops, we can't take prasad. But in the spiritual world, all simultaneous activities can go on. In the spiritual world, the activities can go on simultaneously. Hare Krishna, thank you. Yes, one more question.
You were mentioning about Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, that while eating prasad also, he is remembering Jagannath. How far is Jagannath from here? And then on the road also, Jagannath.
Yeah.
So we are here, I am here in Jagannath, seeing Jagannath, but not a particle also, that feeling or emotions are there.
Yeah.
For Lord Jagannath. So, is it possible to attain that in this life? Or how it can be possible, that feeling and emotion?
That's your humility that you say is zero. It's not zero, otherwise you wouldn't have come here. It's something. Right? It's something. So just like a fire, it starts very little, but it very quickly it can grow big. It starts very little, but you have to feed the fuel. Shravan Kirtan Jol Korea Shechon. Mali hoy kore she bija aropon. You have to water that tree. You have to make it grow with Shravan Kirtan Jol, and then it will grow. Shravan Kirtan, that's japa, that's sankirtan, that's hearing. Sadhu Shanga, that's Shravan Kirtan Jol, associated with devotees hearing, chanting, and then the flame will grow. The flame will grow. Enough, it may not be burning so much that you can't even tolerate sitting and eating you, but it will enough that you won't be interested to come back to this material world. Enough that you won't be interested to return to this material world. Enough that we will desire to return to that spiritual world by the time we give up this body. Thank you. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Shama Bhanta Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki jai.